Alright, so sorry for the delay. This is the second video in my series on looking at Catherine, and so today we're actually going to jump straight into the grand finals between Toph and Dacidbro. So if you don't know the history about these two, Dacidbro is kind of the reigning king. He was the EVO 2015 champ, and he's the strongest Catherine player. Toph started playing the game 2 months ago, and he quickly worked his way as one of the strongest Catherine players. So Catherine is, you'll see that actually a lot of fighting game players have recently kind of like played Catherine, and that a lot of the skills are transferable. Toph, playing Smash and being a Smash commentator, so it's a very good fight between these two, kind of the underdog. Toph is kind of seen as the protagonist of the Catherine anime, if you want to think of it that way, to put it in Smash terms. And Dacidbro is kind of the champ, defending his title. So what you'll see here is that Dacidbro opts for player 2, which is the orange sheep. The reason that he does this is because player 1 and player 2, there is port priority. So if there is an exchange, player 1 will typically get the advantage if they're doing the same action on the same frame. Because Dacidbro is the champ and he's a good sport, he opts for being second player. That way, the challenger kind of gets the benefit of the doubt, if you want to think of it that way. So, very gentleman, thing to do. So now, I'd like to just hop right into the gameplay. So the first map that we're going to see is the Cathedral, which is a very big map. It's kind of split into two sections, player 1 and player 2. They're separated at the start. And because of that, this map being so big, you're not going to see a lot of pure climbing or players really reaching the end of the stage. Instead, the kind of strategy, at least right now, involved in the game is connecting the two sides and fighting. And so because of that, height plays a really big, important role in this stage. Openings that you'll see here, you can kind of see Dacidbro do the Starbase Destroyer opening, which the idea is that you drop the stage to you and it creates a nice stable platform for you to climb up on. It's a solid opening. It's kind of the most popular at the moment. Toph, however, takes an unconventional, faster approach where he makes his side fall and quickly runs over to Dacidbro's side, and you can see that he gets the priority because of that. Now that Toph has the kind of priority, it's up to Dacid to make his way over. Here he does a little bit of inefficient climbing, but that's okay. He gets over and he tries to get up. He realizes that Toph has covered his track, so he's in kind of a tricky spot here. There's not much that he can do. He pushes out the tower and eventually makes his own way to climb up. Not really sure what Toph is doing this entire time. He had many opportunities to get up, but he doesn't. A little bit error on Dacidbro's part, standing underneath of Toph. Dacidbro here is under a lot of pressure. The stage is falling out, so he has to do something quick. So he is able to bait Toph over, actually, and get the drop kick for the win in that round. I've kind of highlighted just at least one of the various options and opportunities that Toph had in that round. Anyway, so moving on to round 2. Dacidbro is going to need a faster start than last time, and it seems like he's adapting to Toph and his playstyle. Not quite sure. It looks like a few missed inputs there. A pull is great. Yup. Toph is making his way over, and Dacidbro sees that, so he attempts to counteract that. However, instead he gets pinned. Which, if you're unfamiliar with how pinning works, I can explain that. So the idea behind pinning is that whenever a sheep falls, they always fall toward the screen, whether it be a drop kick or a regular pillow, fight. The sheep that is getting hit always falls towards the screen, and they always drop a level. However, in the instance where the stage begins to get some depth, such as in this instance, where there is a back layer and a front layer and however many layers, when you hit a player on one of the back layers, instead of falling because there is nowhere to go, they simply drop to the ground. And so when they drop to the ground, normally sheeps cannot occupy the same square. Two sheeps cannot occupy the same space. However, when players get dropped, when they fall, that is your opportunity to take the same space as them, and that's called a pin. This is one of the instances where player 1 has the advantage. They don't have to respawn once they get the player in the pin. Player 2 has to take some additional steps and actually climb another level, otherwise it will result in a draw. So we should be getting into the final round here. Let's see how they mix things up. Dacidbro going for a different opening every time. He's taken the approach that Toph took in the first round, which is the approach that I personally prefer. I think it's much faster. He sees Toph get this block, and Dacidbro, he runs into a tricky spot when climbing. There's nowhere really for him to go, and he sees that Toph has that block, so he's actually eyeing up to beat up Toph. And here, he actually has the win. He does not need to respond at all. There is nothing Toph can do. However, Dacidbro said, he actually commented on this and said that, you know, it was just tournament, like, he did stuff that he didn't need to, and so he actually ends up losing there. For those of you wondering, well, how did he lose that? Let's take a minute to analyze and actually look at the kind of frame data going on there. So you see at this point, Dacidbro has the wins kind of secured. However, he gets a little frantic, and so what he does is he pushes the block, he pulls it, and then he gets on top of it. And so when he gets on top, that allows Toph to get on top and then push the block underneath of Dacidbro. Now, Dacidbro is falling. And while Dacidbro is falling, the level below Toph also falls out. So now the stage is completely empty, and now both sheeps are falling. However, Dacidbro was already falling, so he has more momentum going down. He's falling faster. And so because he was the first one to fall, he ends up losing because the game considers that, okay, both sheeps were falling, but player 2 was falling first. That's an unfortunate instance of frame data. So that was game 1. It went to Toph. The next stage is Dacidbro's counterpick, which is Quadrangle. Dacidbro has said that Quadrangle is his personal favorite map. I've already covered that in the Chicken vs. Dacidbro fight, which you should check out if you haven't. Pretty much this is the ice stage, so there's not going to be a lot of fighting because the nature of the ice and sliding makes fighting very clunky on this stage. But this is the map that you will see most climbing done, and most often that the goal actually gets reached. So we'll see how Dacidbro and Toph fare off on this match. So it looks like Dacidbro, yep, Dacidbro does the right approach. He slides as opposed to Siddle is what it is online, is the debate on whether or not it's faster to slide at the start or drop down and then go to the side. It's faster to slide. Anyway, Dacidbro doing his signature thing of pulling out blocks and making it more difficult for his opponent to climb. Doing a fair job of it so far, kind of textbook. Toph here, however, catches up and is able to get ahead. Makes it very difficult for Dacid to catch up. And before this match can go any further, we see Toph accidentally slide off the map and kill himself. So it just goes to show that ice gets the best of us. Anyway, next round. Same approach from Dacidbro. This time, he's trying to mess with Toph a little bit by grabbing the blocks. Here, Toph grabs the block from Dacidbro. I'm surprised he didn't go for a combo there and drop down for a drop kick. Dacidbro keep doing his thing of climbing up, pulling blocks to make it more difficult. And so the really neat thing about this map, or all maps really, is that the bigger the difference between the players, the faster the stage falls. So long as Dacidbro is perfect in his climbing, it makes it extremely difficult for Toph to catch up, because any error that Toph makes is under that much pressure to have the stage fall out from underneath of him. Alright, so it's 1-1. Dacidbro, Toph. It's Toph's counterpick. Toph, he's not a bad climber by any means. It's just that he is less experienced, so he's probably going to go for something more fighting. I think he does, yeah, Underground Cemetery, which is a stage you rarely see anybody climbing. It is so easy to make the stage fall, and so because of that, a lot of the fighting is all done early on. So it makes sense for Toph to pick this because his fighting skills are very strong. And so early on here, actually, there is a neat gimmick that everybody falls for at least once, which Dacidbro just fell for right there. So I'll pause the video and actually look at that real quick. But the idea there is that you go up on the level above and that you push the stack of 3 on that second level towards your opponent, and then that creates, I mean, there's already a bridge there, but if your opponent comes towards you, what you can do is then you can pull the block that is now over the center, and now you'll notice that there are no blocks beneath there. And so because of the way that frames kind of work in Catherine, the game will register you on that block, and then that block won't be there, so you will fall straight through to your death, which is what happens to Dacidbro there, unfortunately. Round 2, Dacidbro learns a little bit. He doesn't go for the area over there and instead goes over to Toph's side. Toph is a little bit lost at what to do, but quickly tries to push the stage out from underneath of Dacidbro, and Dacidbro learns a little bit. Now Dacidbro is standing there, which is a good position, but you can't stay there forever because of Toph's block. What Toph could do is spawn it and then go over. So what Dacidbro saw there, as soon as Toph had the block, Dacidbro knew that Toph was going to come over, so he had to set up a trap for him, and so in this case he set up a pin. So I want to pause the video real quick and talk about the pin from a player 2 perspective. So you saw the pins in the earlier for player 1, and so it's pretty similar here, except when player 2 is standing on top of player 1 in this situation, if player 2 doesn't do anything, the game will end in a draw because of port priority. So player 2 has to actually climb an additional level, and so the way that players have best found to do that is that if you use the stick on the PS3 controller, the left stick also moves, as well as the D-pad buttons. And so if you are holding the stick and you hold down towards you while you are grabbing a block, what will happen is that you actually won't move the block at all. You will headbang. And so what players have found out is that it is 9 headbangs for your level to fall. Now Dacidbro is a little bit early here in his timing, and that's why Toph is actually able to respond and push the block out from underneath at Dacidbro. But Dacidbro is fast enough where he is able to climb that extra step as well. So even though he's a little bit slow, his timing didn't completely ruin him. So that is something that player 2 has to do as an extra step against player 1. So here we're going into round 3. Let's see, Toph trying to set up that bait again. It's a solid bait, it just loses you a little bit of speed here. Now Toph sets up and completely destroys his side, which forces Dacidbro to stay close. Dacidbro goes for a combo there, it looks like, but it doesn't work because Toph has to drop an additional level, and so what Toph is able to do is push the block out. And so when Dacidbro falls, Toph is then able to kind of do a reversal and land on top of Dacidbro and push him off for the win in that round. So now the score is 2-1 Toph. Toph needs one more to reset the bracket. Dacidbro needs to win 2 games in a row in order to secure his lead. If Dacidbro loses this, this will be the first set that he's lost in a long time. I think he goes to the black hole block level. Spiral corridor. Yep. It's a cool level. It's kind of gimmicky. The gimmick on this level are the black hole blocks, which are extremely powerful. They suck up anything on top of them, also called toilets. So this includes, dark blocks or even other players. So usually people will try to push toilets underneath of each other. So early on, Dacidbro sees Toph coming over his side, but he doesn't like that, so he tries to push the toilet in front of Toph. And there, actually, I'm going to slow it down and play that back for you guys. But what actually happens there, and it happens a ton with Dacidbro, is that he climb cancels. So what he meant to do there was he meant to set up a pin, which would have worked, except you can see here that he grabs that block as soon as he hops on top of the block in the middle between the two. And so when he does that, that gives Toph the time needed to push the block out from underneath of Dacidbro, which then knocks Dacidbro down a level, which allows Toph to follow up with a pillow fight jab to the face. And that spells the end for Dacidbro in that first round. So, heading into round 2, let's see what happens. Kind of standard start. They're both kind of pushing along. Dacidbro sees that Toph is going to push that toilet over, so he waits. And there, he baits Toph to come out and pulls the toilet out because he knows Toph is going to be greedy and try to pin Dacidbro right back. So here we go. Last round. Round 3. Both pull. Kind of symmetrical start here. Dacidbro looks like he's pulling ahead. He sees Toph gets the X Factor, so he actually runs over and wants to fight Toph. Not sure that that was the best move at all. I understand his logic there, that he wants to fight Toph, but there's not a lot of room to fight in this area, and he's also coming from underneath, which, you know, height advantage is huge in Catherine, so it doesn't make any sense for him to do that. Alternatively, what he should have done is he should have went to the right, pulled that block, went up, because even with X Factor, Toph cannot climb. X Factor allows you to climb 2 blocks at once. However, all these blocks are up 3. So, Dacidbro would have control of 2 toilets and would have the height advantage, and there would be no way for Toph to come up. So, even though Toph has the X Factor, it's more or less like a empty bluff, if you want to think of it that way. There's nothing he can do with the X Factor, which, you know, tournament nerves and things like that lets you not be able to see that, but that's the point of coming at it from hindsight. So that wraps up the first set in Grand Finals, in which Toph resets the bracket. Really close games, really well done. Next, we will look at the second set in Grand Finals, where both of the players are now in loser's bracket. The only thing is that these videos take a while, just because I'd like to be pretty thorough in them. And so, yeah, just to kind of recap what happened is that in this video we saw a lot more kind of frame manipulation going on, especially with Dacidbro climb canceling a lot, which certainly can come in handy. I mean, you can think of situations where, oh wait, maybe I didn't want to climb, could really be useful, but here it also hurt him a lot. So you just gotta be careful with that. Yeah, really high level play and just really good really good play to watch and analyze, so kudos to both of these players. Included in the description will be links to pretty much everybody's streams, the video, you know, the Evo stream, and then also I did a stream with PX, another Catherine player, where we analyzed Evo for 2 hours on the fly. So this video is a little bit more refined than that, but if you'd like to see kind of our rough little sketch, I'll also link to that as well. So yeah, for the future, we're looking at Grand Finals Set 2. Go ahead and please like, subscribe, whatever you want to do. It doesn't matter to me. See ya.